Hello everyone, what's going on? It's Sal Stretford Post. How you doing? And welcome to another episode of Chatterbox. How you all doing, guys, on this Saturday afternoon, evening? Where I am, guys. Thank you so much for joining me today. Guys, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel and please don't forget to smash a like on the video if you guys could do that before we start, guys. Obviously, it's very important to get the algorithms going and buzzing and stuff like that, guys. But thank you so much. Look, you know what? A different day, another player has been linked with Manchester United. We're going to be getting into that, of course, guys. We're also going to be getting into a crazy swap deal that Man United could be subjected to. Is it subjected or is it a player that Man United might be interested in? Let's wait and see, guys. Thank you so much again for joining me on this Saturday afternoon, of course, guys. Big up Hesty before we start. Big up Hesty. How you doing? Thank you so much. I'm here. 30 seconds late, but I'm here. Big up. Bill, what's going on, my friend? Hope you're doing well. Good to see you, my friend. Good to see you again, my guy. Hope you're doing well. Hope everyone's having a blessed Saturday so far, guys. Hope everyone is good. Now, let's get into it. We're looking at Nmecha. Obviously, that you may have heard it over this last few hours. Manchester United have been linked with a move for Borussia Dortmund midfielder, defensive midfielder, Nmecha, Felix Nmecha, however you want to say it. 28 million euros he's worth. Former England international, guys, in regards to under 16. Ended up playing for Germany. Very capable player to play in midfield. I like this kind of deal. It represents value for money. And what do we want? Value for money, says Jim Ratcliffe. That's what we want at the end of the day. Value for money. 24-year-old player, of course. Very, very talented individual. Currently playing for Borussia Dortmund in the Bundesliga, of course. But the problem, the key unique thing about this player, right, is that he can play central midfield, defensive midfield, and attacking midfield. You know what? Mr. Versatility, guys. Absolutely. That is what we're looking for. A little bit of versatility, isn't it? A bit of that. A bit, you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, you know what? Our players are a little bit blunt in regards to, you know, where they can play on the pitch. So we do need people who are a little bit stretch Armstrong, a little bit flexible in regards to their positioning on the pitch, of course, guys. That is very, very important. Of course, 4 caps for Germany, 1 goal. Can we go wrong with that? A deal for him, you know, not bad, you know. And you know what I said yesterday? You know what? Tomorrow we'll be linked with another player. And then here comes the Nmecha, you know what I mean? And we're here with the Nmecha. Do you know what I mean? It is hilarious, isn't it, at the end of the day? But hopefully it has an element of truth. And hopefully Man United can get a deal like this done, of course. The big thing about the Nmecha, what is the biggest thing? What's unique about him? Well, guys, what we have to say is that he started off in the Manchester City under-23 academy, guys. Oh, he started at Man City, guys. He did start at Man City. And you know what? So did Sancho, to be honest with you, at the end of the day. But, yeah, the one thing I'm not going to be a bearer of bad news and things like that. But one thing I'm concerned about is that when Man United, in particular Borussia Dortmund, when we sign players from Borussia Dortmund, i.e. Mkhitaryan, Kagawa, Sancho, they don't really do that well, do they, guys? They don't do that well. And, you know, we have to be very wary when we're bringing players in from the Bundesliga, you know, in particular, because notoriously, they haven't done that well, guys, especially Borussia Dortmund players. So I'm a little bit, obviously, wary about that deal, of course. Obviously, the Bundesliga, Borussia Dortmund's completely different to the Premier League and stuff like that. But he is indeed a very talented player, of course, guys. Absolutely. What do you guys think? Big up, my friends. Big up, Ephraim. Good evening, Sal. What are your predictions for the first 5 games? I'm not going to give any predictions, Ephraim, until we got our players through the door. I'm not going to be talking about any predictions at the moment, my friends, because at the end of the day, I don't know what Man United players are going to be buying. I don't know who we're going to be buying, to be honest with you. So I can only make that judgment and that prediction when we've actually, got our players through the door. I mean, I need to know who we're going for. I need to know who we're going for, what players we're going for, and then, that I can make an accurate prediction. I will do, though. I will do. Hesty, how much is his wage at the moment? I'm not sure how much his wage is at Man United because he hasn't signed for Man United at the moment. Guys, he hasn't signed for Man United at the moment, so I don't really know. I think he must be on about 30, 40 grand a week, 50 grand a week. Nothing too spectacular. Of course, he is a German international now, so we have to bear that in mind, guys. We have to bear that in mind, And to be honest with you, I like this type of deal, but as I said, I'm a little bit wary about this type of deal. I'm a little bit conflicted about this kind of deal because obviously what has happened in the past with Borussia Dortmund and stuff like that, with players that have come through the door and everything, it's not ideal, but, you can't paint everyone with the same brush, As I say, do you know what I mean? You can't paint everyone with the same brush. Ephraim, so do you take Douglas Luiz or Nmecha? It's a tough one, Ephraim. It's a tough one. What I would say, it's a tough one. I would say Nmecha just about. I would say that. But actually, when you look at Douglas Luiz, he has actually done really well in the Premier League before. So that is an advantage to Douglas Luiz, isn't it? That he's played for Aston Villa and he's done well at Aston Villa. That is a good thing, you know what I mean? It's a tough choice to make anyway. Good afternoon, Kazi. How you doing? Hope you're doing well. Sal, evening, brother. Hope you're well. Afternoon, evening, everyone in the chat. Please smash a like. Thank you so much, Grayo. That's the way to do it, my friend. You see people representing. Grayo's the representation, how you greet. Good old Sal, and I greet Grayo with love. Absolutely. That's what it's all about. Absolutely. Spreading the love and spreading the word to Stretford Post, of course, guys. Absolutely. And absolutely not creeping on other people's channels, you know what I mean? And stuff like that. He is the guy. Absolutely. Big up. Absolutely. Jim, afternoon, Sal. Big up, Jim. How you doing, my friend? Hope you're doing well. Greg Gray, I hope you're well. Sal, 30 seconds late tonight. Yeah, I was 30 seconds late tonight. God forbid. Can you imagine me being 30? I know I was. You know what? I forgot to do a couple of things. And, when you're setting up everything, you have to do certain things and clicks and this and that. You don't want your stream to be an absolute disaster. Do you know what I mean? But big up everyone who's joined me this afternoon on this Saturday afternoon, of course. Guys, I remember the Saturday afternoons when I was younger. They were good times. They were good times, man. I always think about Saturday. I feel like Jim Davidson's Generation Game or Bruce Forsyth. I think about things like that. I think about all those days when I was in, after Man United had played a game, we'll watch various programs on TV. Do you know what I mean? There was that little in-between period between the game finishing and obviously the evening where there was nothing much on. But then obviously, Generation Game will come on and stuff like that and it will make it a lot better. Of course, guys, absolutely. But yeah, love it. I love it. You know what I mean? I love the fact that we can sit here on a Saturday afternoon and talk about football and talking about transfers as well. Transfers. Big up, Mark. What's going on, my friend? Hope you're doing well. Hope you're well. Good to see you, mate. We're talking about transfers as well. We're talking about transfers at Man United, which is, on a Saturday, it is a little bit strange with obviously Felix Nmecha being linked to Man United. Now, let's get straight into it in regards to other news and Manchester United. Inter Milan have offered Mehdi Taremi to Manchester United in exchange for Rasmus Højlund. Mehdi Taremi is a 32-year-old Iranian international, 93 caps for Iran, 53 goals for Iran. You know what? The thing is, right, guys, hear me out, right? They want to give us Mehdi Taremi, right, for Rasmus Højlund, right? Mehdi Taremi for Rasmus. That's what they want to do. They want to do that. 3.5 million euros. It's someone who could put the ball in the back of the net. Certainly is. Look at his record: 93 caps, 53 goals. Bloody can't get much better than that, can you? Yeah, but Mehdi Taremi, Inter Milan have offered, maybe cheekily, maybe some may say a bit cheeky. They've offered Taremi for Rasmus Højlund. What would I say about that? What would I say about that, guys? What do I say about that sort of deal? You know what I would say about that sort of deal, guys? You know what it's going to be.
Fuck off.
Absolutely. Definitely it's going to be that. You know what I mean? Or we arrive or we tell Inter Milan representatives to come to Old Trafford, right, to have talks, and we do this.
Come closer. What is the sound of one hand clapping?
I don't know. What is the sound of one?
To Inter Milan for that ridiculous offer that they have put on the table for us. A 32-year-old player, Mehdi Taremi. You know what? He may be Taremi, he may be Rainy. You know what I mean? He scores some goals, you know, made raining goals. But at the end of the day, what we're saying is 32, lads. It's 32. Look, this is not Teddy Sheringham, babe. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? This is not Teddy Sheringham, mate. You know, and what I would say is that Teddy Sheringham was a unique type of player and, you know, contributed towards the team as a backup striker. Taremi, 32 years old, is definitely not Teddy Sheringham, but you know what? He's a decent player and probably will get us some goals. Add a little bit of experience up front, of course. The problem is that this still doesn't benefit Man United in a way that of a long-term benefit. It's a bit of a stopgap sort of transfer, if you know what I mean. So at the end of the day, that is a definite no for me. I wouldn't want that type of deal anyway to go anywhere near Manchester United at the end of the day. No, absolutely not, guys. Not. But you know what? It is something, you know, that has been circulating over this number of few hours, of course, as is obviously Felix Nmecha, of course, which is just come out, which literally a couple of hours ago and stuff like that, of course, guys. Absolutely. Ephraim. Sal, now I am more mad at Sancho. Now he's acting like a child. Sancho, the thing is Sancho, right? Sancho, look, I don't blame him too much. And in his defense, he was not given this contract. It was obviously the clowns of Murto and Woodward who gave him this ridiculous contract, you know. When you think about how much money he was on at Borussia Dortmund, you know, he's going on for about 50 grand a week to about, and then we're going like 50 grand to 250 grand. We're jumping the gun too much. And you know, you can't blame him for that because at the end of the day, what is he going to do? He's not going to say, look, you know what, I'm not going to take that money. I don't deserve that money. What I would say is that he's grown spoilt and he's grown entitled. And you can tell that by his fitness. He doesn't look fit at all, as opposed to the way he was at Borussia Dortmund. He does look a little bit weighty, in my opinion, as well. So, look, you know, what I would say about Mr. Jadon Sancho is that, you know, it is very important that Man United get rid of him this summer. It's actually just as important as Man United signing players because we need to get rid of him. He's not going to be a good influence within our dressing room. He just wants the money. He's a mercenary. It's quite obvious that he doesn't really care about football. I always wondered why. I always rated Sancho, you know, a few years ago, especially during the European Championships. You remember the European Championships when England got to the final against Italy? I always felt that why isn't Sancho playing? Why isn't Sancho playing? Sancho should be playing. And then I look at it and I think maybe Gareth Southgate had a point. You know what I mean? And I never thought I'd say that, but maybe Gareth Southgate had a point. Maybe there was something about Jadon Sancho that just didn't click, you know, at the end of the day. And obviously, I remember him playing a game for England against Ukraine in the European Championships, right? And England won 4-0 and qualified for the next round. And I thought, well, Sancho played brilliantly in that game. And he didn't play again. But why is that? Is there something wrong with him? Is there a problem with Jadon Sancho? And it's quite evident that there is a problem with Jadon Sancho, of course. Absolutely. Absolutely. Mr. God, what's going on, Yoshi Cowboy? My streams are a disaster. I made them the way on purpose. Big up, Sal. One love, brother. How you doing, Yoshi Cowboy? Hope you're doing well. Really good to see you, mate. Really good to see you. Can't we find a Jason Park from somewhere? I mean, at the end of the day, Jason Park, yeah. I mean, look, you know, look. There are these type of players around, but the problem is Man United these days, Bill, is that Man United ain't as open-minded. I would say that. I'll be honest, Man United aren't as open-minded as they used to be in the transfer market. We did used to look in Asia. We did used to look in places like Mexico when we got obviously when we got obviously Hernandez, the little P, of course, guys. You know what I mean? Chicharito. I would say that, you know, we don't do that as often as we should do. And I mean, Alex Ferguson used to be the king at doing this. He used to bring in players that you wouldn't heard of otherwise. Obviously, Jason Park was quite known before he came to Manchester United. Obviously, he was a recognized South Korean international, very, very good player, of course. But one thing we would say is that No one expected him to become like a folklore, a hero, a legend at Man United, which he ultimately did become. Because the thing is with Jadon Park is that Jadon Park, he always gave 100%, no matter what. And I think Alex Ferguson said it during the Barcelona finals. When we played Barcelona in the Champions League final, he said that the biggest mistake he made was not putting Jadon Park on Messi. That is a big compliment. He said, my biggest mistake was not putting Jadon Park marking Messi. Because Jadon Park would have marked him out the game, and we've done similar things against Barcelona. And this was a great Barcelona back in them days. It wasn't the Barcelona of today. Absolutely. This Barcelona today wouldn't live up to that Barcelona. So what I would say is that just like we did in 2008 when we knocked out Barcelona at the Champions League, we were very tight, man marking and stuff like that. This is one thing that Alex Ferguson made. But Alex Ferguson always used to sing the praises of Jadon Park. And I remember sitting on the Stretford then. It was Man United versus Liverpool. Fletcher gets the ball, crosses it into the box, and Jadon Park risks serious injury, guys, to head that ball into the corner of the net, right in front of me, guys. I saw it, you know what I mean? And you know what? He bashed his chest and we were celebrating. But that's the sort of player that Jadon Park was. He gave his all. He never, you know what, shied away from challenges and things like that. A proper warrior. Big up, Jim. That slap was personal. Big up, Twister. Big up, my friend. Big up. We gave them bread with honey. They gave us bread only. Absolutely. There you go, mate. Story of my life. Absolutely. Kenny Taremi, another stopgap signing. Yeah, I mean, we ain't got any stopgap signings at the moment, but we are linked to one. Definitely. But Taremi is a prolific striker. If you want to bring a striker in, that is prolific, but he's about 5 years too old. 10 years, some may say. Too old, you know what I mean, at the end of the day, in regards to bringing him in. Man United needs someone about 25, 26 to be leading that line, not about 32. But you know what? It is a cheeky offer from Inter Milan. Absolutely. It's a very cheeky offer. And that is what, that is the way the nature is at the end of the day. We're bad, but we're not that bad. I would say that. Rasmus Højlund, of course, cost us a lot of money. He's worth, 40 million? FFP and PSR wise, I'm not talking about how much he's worth, but in regards to FFP and PSR, if we don't want to have a hit on PSR and FFP, he's going to have to be worth 40 million because that's how much we have to get from him to comply with FFP and PSR, of course. Big up Twister, big up everyone. Grayo, big up Grayo. 41 so come on, smash those likes, guys. Thank you so much, Grayo. Big up yourself. Thank you very much for that, my guy. It will take another summer transfer window to get any power back in these transfer windows. This transfer window is imperative. It's very important that Man United get a lot of work done. We cannot go into the season in low spirits. We got Arsenal first game of the season. There's no chance of us feeling sorry for ourselves. At the end of the day, look. Yesterday, I was at the airport and I had to move my flights around and stuff. I'm going now as I was always going on the 7th of July, and it was very disappointing because I wanted to go today. But obviously, things happened, so I couldn't go. And I have to get to Qatar because I've got things to do in Qatar and stuff like that, and then I'm off to Italy. But one thing I would say is that, disappointment, I don't want to feel that disappointment at the start of the season. I don't want to have any worry or nervousness or Ruben Amorim hasn't been backed, if only they backed him and stuff like that. I don't want any of that going on, in my opinion. I don't want any excuses, because at the end of the day, I just want us to see us win games. There's a lot of people out there vying for Mr. Ruben Amorim's blood at the end of the day. As people think at the end of the day, he doesn't deserve it. No, because obviously people are not looking in context. You got dum-dums, who watch football, who watch football with vibes. Do you know what I mean? They watch football with vibe. They don't really analyze football. They look at Google and that, but they don't really analyze context. They're more interested in, I'm getting bantered. I don't want to get bantered. I want us to do this. I want to. They lack the patience to be Manchester United fans, in my opinion, guys. Absolutely. So that is very, very interesting, of course, guys. Absolutely. Ephraim. Sal, is it possible to win a Premier League with this owners? Look, one thing I would say, Ephraim, is that if Man United managed to cut off the Glazers, right? Get the Glazers away from what the football side of things. We all know that Joel Glazer is still in charge of proceedings and operations at Man United, which he shouldn't be. Joel Glazer shouldn't be involved in Man United. It should just be Ineos right now. We need to cut off the Glazers. Can Man United do it? Of course they can. They can, and because Alex Ferguson did it. Alex Ferguson did it with the Glazers, so it can be possible, but what he needs, Ruben Amorim, is the tools to do that. If he can ignore the Glazers, he can ignore Ineos and stuff like that, but he needs the tools to do that. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, and that is down to the Glazers and Ineos, of course. Absolutely. Yorkshire Cowboy. Pep spotted Spurs Sancho source earlier. I agreed with him. Look, we all saw that video of, Phil Foden coming off on the youth game, and then he went to slap hands with Sancho, and Sancho didn't slap his hand or something like that, wasn't it? And obviously young. He learned young to be an absolute prat, didn't he? He was a prat from a young age, and you can't change the spots on a leopard at the end of the day. You can't change, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. This guy's been doing it his whole life. He's been a bit of a prat his whole life. And even Borussia Dortmund, as much as they like Jadon Sancho, they will tell you that, turning up late for training, etc., etc. Now, a team like Borussia Dortmund might be able to handle that sort of thing because at the end of the day, they are notoriously an elite team in regards to historically. But one thing I would say is that he done it for Man United, and that is what money does, isn't it, to people? You got Rashford who's just walking around, strutting his shoulders, you know what I mean? It's everyone else's fault but mine. It's his fault, but not my fault. I don't do anything wrong sort of mentality. And that's the problem that we're having in Man United at the moment. But yeah, guys, in the positive light, Man United are being linked to players, which is a good thing. It's better than being linked to nobody. Let me tell you that right now. Guys, it is better than being linked with nobodies, guys. And there is news coming out of Man United, which is good. I tell you that right now, it's good to be linked with players, right? Because if we weren't linked with players, we'd be like, what's going on? But you know what? One thing I would say is that always look at things in a way that, who's it coming from? Why is it happening? And stuff like that. It doesn't mean that everything is false, but what I would say is that take it with a pinch of salt as well, guys. Absolutely. Twisted Fate. That's it. I got there in the end. Twisted Fate. What's going on? I just believe Sancho is not a player that suits the Premier League, in all honesty. Mate, all I would say is this, Twister Fate, right? I don't want to fat shame anyone, okay? But look at him at Dortmund and look at him now. Look at him. Look at him when he first started at Dortmund and look at him now. He doesn't suit the Premier League. Okay. He's just not good enough. That's simple as that. I don't think he's good enough. His attitude is the reason he's not good enough. Now, that's not to say he doesn't have the talent to be good enough. He doesn't have the ability to be good enough, because he does. But he doesn't. The problem is the accountability side of things. The first step to improvement is accountability, being accountable for your own actions. Unfortunately, we have players at this football club who are not accountable for their own actions. They think that their ish doesn't stink at the end of the day. That's what they think. They think that they can go through life, rich. The thing is with these people, unlike the old footballers that used to be in the past, they haven't had a real life, right? Each one of us right here, right now, would play football for free for Man United, right? Each one of us would play for many clubs. We'll take 500 quid a week, $500 a week, 500 euros a week, just to play football. You know what I mean? They don't understand the value of money. They don't understand how fortunate they are to be playing for a club like Man United. That's the thing. You got all the facilities and tools to be a hero at Man United, to be a superstar at Man United, but you chose not to be. You chose to be a prat, and that's what it is. Writing tweets, coming late to training, Rashford, substance this, doing that, all this business that we've been hearing about. You know what I mean? Sancho likes his football easier. He's a flat track bully, no stomach to the fight. Exactly. When the going gets tough, Sancho gets weaker. Sancho goes hiding. That is the main thing, isn't it, at the end of the day? Bill, today you mentioned about Ineos not letting any information out about possible transfers, and you did not, and that you don't like it. If Ineos get the right players in, I won't care. At the end of the day, what I would say, the reason I don't like it, because it creates toxicity and it's creating the things within the market. That is, at the end of the day, the fans have every right to know what's going on. A little update, a brief. That is what big football clubs do. The reason I say this is because they're taking their time. And the reason I say this is because this is not a unique situation. Man United came 15th last people. People are concerned about our football club. We are not Liverpool or Chelsea or Man City at the moment. We came 15th. We need to know what's going on because this is not like previous seasons, right, where we qualify for Europe and let them do their thing and improve the team. This is like, right, we've got about 10 players that need to fully leave the football club and we've got 5 or 6 players that need to come in. So what's going on, lads? Are we moving? That's what we need to know. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, that's great. If they get the players in, you know, that's great. But at least like brief the fans and say, look, we're going to do everything we can to get this team going and stuff like that at the end of the day. Ineos have been shit so far, Bill. As anyone wants to tell you, Ineos have been crap, you know, at the end of the day. And it would have been much better if Qatar had this football club. So now that they've bought this football club on a 27% vanity project, they need to make sure that they're doing this thing properly. Do you know what I mean? Because at the moment, we're spending weeks and weeks on Embremo. I know that Embremo is coming on the 1st of July. I know that. You know what I mean? I do know that. But at the end of the day, at least brief people about it. I know that the deal's been done, but let people know about it, but rather than creating hysteria and negativity within the fan base. Because at the end of the day, people want to cut off the fans. The fans are what are the life and breathing of the Manchester United football team. You know, we are the life and blood of the team. And without Manchester United, there is nothing. The fans, Manchester United fans, there is nothing. There's no football team. There's no Marcus Rashford and Jadon Sancho and Omar Barada and Sir Jim Ratcliffe's. There's none of that. So I would say that this is very important that they do communicate. At the end, they have to communicate. Bill, another good terrier along with Jason Bart was my favorite, Nicky Butt. Yeah. So why are we not scouting players from South America like Barcelona and Real Madrid? Look, at the end of the day, one thing I would say, Ephraim, is that I agree with you. Man United should be doing this much more intensely. I do know that Man United were after Mastantuano. But the problem with these South American players, a lot of these South American players, is that they want to play for Real Madrid or Barcelona. They want to play like that. They want to play for the Latin American teams and stuff like that because obviously it suits their culture. But there are other players out there that Man United could scout. And I don't know why we don't go after these players. I really don't. Maybe it's laziness. We did get Diego Leon through the door. We started very well getting Diego Leon through the door. We've been linked with Richard Rios, of course. There's other players, Jimenez, we've been linked with as well. Other players we've been linked with, but we don't do the deals. I don't know why. Like Echeverry. Echeverry's another one who slipped through our fingers and went to Man City, Twisted Fate. Never forget Mark Pirlo out of the game versus Milan. He was on top of him every second to the point Pirlo probably thought he was going to wake up with Park at the bottom of his bed. Absolutely twisted fate. What a player. Highly underrated as well, mate. Highly underrated. He hates the song that thought to say 100 times of times at Stretford end and our old scoreboard end. He hates his song, though. Yeah, his song is not very nice. It is very, very ignorant. I know that. And, obviously, part, wherever you may be, you know what I mean? Absolutely. Those who know, it wasn't the best song. I agree. Sanjay. Good afternoon, Sanjay. How you doing, my friend? Are we doing well? Big up. Kazi. We got 2 Premier League proven players, then got a striker and a goalkeeper. Big up, mate. That would be good, Kazi. I would love that. If we get 2 Premier League players, a striker and a goalkeeper, it does look a little bit better, doesn't it, Kazi? It does look a bit better. It looks a bit better, but let's wait and see, of course. Thank you so much, Ephraim. You smashed it, my guy. Thank you very much. Much love. Might as well, Brogus kick Sancho. Bro, absolutely. You know what I mean? Sancho just joined the WWE, mate. You know what I mean? He's a villain. Look, guys, if Sancho was a WWE wrestler, right, he would be a villain. You know what I mean? You can tell, like footballers, if they were in WWE. Footballers if they were in WWE, right? Who would be a villain? Who would be a hero in the WWE? At the end of the day, you look at Sancho, he would be one of them ones, isn't it? Who coming out and everyone's booing and stuff like that. Yeah, stuff. Very interesting question, actually. I was thinking about that. So, how much percent will you give Sancho, Rashford, Garnacho will be in preseason tour? Look, I'm not giving percentages, but what I would say, Ephraim, is that they shouldn't be on the preseason tour, whether they're at Man United or not. Even if they haven't left Man United, they should not be at the preseason tour, in my humblest of opinion, guys. I think that very, very strongly, because I don't want these players being a bad influence in the dressing room. We got a lot of young players at Man United, and we don't need that infectious virus coming into the football club. 3 of them at the end of the day, in reality. But, Garnacho, I feel a little bit right, because he did play every game last season, but obviously what he did towards the end of the season ruined everything that he did the whole season, isn't it? So, look, it is. We don't need him in the preseason. Absolutely, it won't be doing any good for us. You know what I mean? At the end of the day. Grayo, 126, 40 like, come on, guys, get to 50 likes. Come on, guys. Don't forget to get to 50 likes. Very important, guys. Thank you so much. Grayo, you legend, of course. Sal, how many transfers would it take to win the Premier League? Look, one thing I'll say, Ephraim, it doesn't take as many as you think. It doesn't. I personally think, and I'm being really honest with you guys, that this Premier League is one of the weakest Premier Leagues I've ever seen. I'll be honest with you guys. It is. Right? And I can give loads of evidence that suggests that. Okay? It takes for Man United to get... Look, football is not as complicated as people make it out to be. Football is a confidence game. You can actually win titles with confidence if you get together as a team. Look at Leicester City at the end of the day, and you all believe in the same goal. You're all targeted towards the same thing, at the end of the day, and it's drilled into you, I think 6 or 7 players at Man United right now, quality players, walk into that team. Man United could quite possibly challenge. Definitely. Of course they could. But when you're looking at the likes of Liverpool and you're looking at the likes of Liverpool improving and getting the Frimpong's and Wirtz and Kirkes and probably Isaac as well, you're thinking that Man United got to work. Man United got to do better. Do you know what I mean? At the end of the day, because we need more to happen. And I'm not saying that they're not doing that, but we need to have clarification that what's happening. Twisted Fate. Sancho was still the attitude adjuster move. Yes, exactly. You know what? Sancho in the WWE, wouldn't that be? Don't be surprised if it happens one day. Abdullah Irwan, what's going on? Big up this channel. RKO Sancho now. Big up. I need to do a graphic for that. Absolutely. Ephraim, Sal, who has more talent, Sancho or Rashford? Can I be honest with you guys? It's different. It's 2 different types of players. Sancho's more skillful, more creative. Rashford is a goal scorer, a better shot on him. Probably. I would say if it was weighed up between the two, I would say if they're both on song at the best of the powers, I would say that Sancho's a better player. I would say that. But they're very similar. Attitudes are very similar, that's for sure. Abdullah Irwan, what's going on, my brother? I hope you're doing well. Breaking Manchester United are yet to agree with you. Brentford, Brian and Bremo. Duncan Castles doesn't know anything, Abdullah. Don't worry about Duncan Castles, mate. He doesn't know anything about Manchester United. Abdullah, absolutely. Unless that's confirmed by Ornstein or Fabrizio or Ben Jacobs, I don't think he's really... Duncan Castles is a Newcastle fan, by the way, guys. Don't believe it. Don't believe it. Not your bottom dollar believe it, guys. It's absolutely not true. Absolutely. Big up. Duncan Spence lies. He's in Bremo too. Yeah, he's the one who said in Bremo 250 grand a week. Absolutely, Twisted Fate. Thank you. This guy, he is a Newcastle journalist, right? A Newcastle journalist. He's trying to plant seeds to make Newcastle look better than they are because he rejected Newcastle United. He rejected that small little club from the bloody Tyneside. That's what he did. The club who's not won a league in 100-odd years. And they just won their first trophy in 80-odd years. So at the end of the day, they got a little bit giddy because they won that little League Cup. You know what I mean? And they're just a little bit upset because even though they got sugar daddies as their owner, they still get rejected by players, guys. You know what I mean? That is absolute fact. So at the end of the day, let them talk until it's announced that sort of thing by Ornstein or Fabrizio. I'm not going to believe it. Absolutely not. Guys, or Ben Jacobs, by the way. Ben Jacobs is absolutely killing it. All right, now, this season, I think that Ben Jacobs he's won the window so far. For me, Benny, old boy, he's won the window so far for me. Ben Jacobs has been the guy of this window in regards to transfers, of course, in the Premier League, of course, guys. And broken a few things as well. So absolutely fair play to him. Yeah, absolutely. But this is exactly what it is. You have to be very careful who you believe because a lot of these guys have big platforms, have big platforms, and they splurt a lot of garbage. And the problem is that when they splurt a lot of garbage, the masses do believe them, unfortunately, at the end of the day. Twisted Fate, Jacobs has been the best tier 1 window. So, yeah, big up Ben Jacobs, of course. He's been on this channel twice. Absolutely. I'll have him on the channel, hopefully, fingers crossed, during this summer. Again, absolutely good. He's a friend of mine and very, very good at what he does and committed to what he does. And he doesn't splurt any garbage. He's very good. Hopefully, he'll come on the show again. Don't forget to check out my videos with Ben Jacobs I did earlier in the season. It is very interesting to look at the links that we were at back then. And you look at the links of Ben Jacobs, what he said back then on the show, to now, he's relatively got it right. He's basically got it right at the end of the day. Abdullah, Manchester United are negotiating to appoint Alessio Valentin to join the sport structure of Ruben Amorim. There's also a good chance the move will be completed soon. Okay, all right. Thank you, Abdullah, for that update, my friend. Thank you. What midfielders would you look at come in the summer? What would make a real impact to our team? Can I tell you what will make a big impact to our team, Bill? Can I be honest with you? And it's not going to be a popular choice. Adam Wharton, mate. Adam Wharton would make a big difference to Manchester United. 100%. 100% will make a huge difference to Manchester United. I would say that right now. You know, it will make a magnificent difference to Man United, Adam Wharton. I'm talking about Champions League qualification or not. I'm talking about Adam Wharton would, if we signed him, I'm telling you, absolutely. That's the sort of player we need. This is the type of player Sir Alex Ferguson would have went for. You know what I mean? Like the Michael Carrick. You know what I mean? That type of player. We would have went for him. And I think if Man United got Adam Wharton, it would solidify our midfield completely and then make it regenerational. What to play alongside Bruno? The problem is, Bill, I don't agree with Bruno playing at number 8, unfortunately. I know a lot of people think he could play at number 8, and I hope he can play the number 8. Obviously, now he's got Embremo and Cunha in front of him. Maybe he can do that better, and maybe he won't drift out of position, you know, because he has been doing that a lot. Maybe he feels the responsibility of being a captain of Man United that he needs to drift out of position and stuff like that. But yeah, Adam Wharton for me, mate. I think if Adam Wharton played there, underrated, bruv. Underrated. So underrated. You know, this thing that, you know what, he's unfashionable. This is what it is. If his name was Adam Mordinho, you know, the people would be like, oh, wow, you see that player, Adam Mordinho, at the end of the day. If Afcon and Brighton wasn't a thing, I would happily take Baleba. Baleba's a great player as well, Twisted Fate. Look, you know what? The problem is, though, Twisted Fate, I don't know how you feel about this, mate. But, you know, in regards to Brighton and Hove Albion, someone has to check what is in Brighton Hove Albion's drink. Because at the end of the day, what Brighton and Hove Albion are doing, they're getting these players from absolutely nowhere, and they're turning these players into absolute superstars. So someone needs that middleman. Have you ever seen that film Blow? Have you ever seen that film Blow with Johnny Depp? Watch that film Blow, right? There's a guy in that film, right? Very good actor. I forgot his name, but very good actor. And he wants to know Johnny Depp's middleman in regards to the substances that I'm not going to declare, obviously, but in regards to the substances that he's getting for the price that he's getting. He wants the middleman. Man United need to get the middleman from Brighton. What is going on there? Where are these players coming from? All these great players that keep signing for Brighton and Hove Albion, you know what I mean? And becoming 60, 70, 80 million pound players. Madness. Big up, Bill, my friend. Newcastle are very bitter about Manchester United. They think the one cut makes them beat United. Yeah, absolutely, Ephraim. You said it there. Spot on, brother. At the end of the day, Ephraim, is that Newcastle United have got small man syndrome. We have caused Newcastle United over the years, in the 90s, even to this day. We've beaten them in numerous amounts of finals, even at our worst, right? They hate us because we have caused them a lot of pain in the past. We have caused them a lot of grief. We have caused them a lot of anger. We've caused them a lot of pain. Even though they had Alan Shearer and they took their biggest claim to fame. Newcastle's biggest claim to fame was taking Alan Shearer for Man United. But at the same time, them taking Alan Shearer for Man United, we got Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And we all know what happened there, didn't we? So at the end of the day, we could thank Newcastle because they assisted our treble. Thank you, Newcastle, you magpies, for assisting our trebles, you barcode bunch. You know what I mean? For assisting our treble, absolutely. Bill Baleba, number 1 for me. It could be, absolutely. He's a good player. I think we missed a trick with ain't getting our no. I won't read too much into that, Bill. I think Dorgu's going to be a splendid player. I really do. I think he's going to be an absolutely magnificent player. You know, we've got our players. They got theirs. I think they're playing in the World Club Championship against Salzburg or Juve, a very weak Juve, I don't think it really holds much weight, in my opinion. Let's see what he does, obviously, for Man City. But he's a good player. United have caused pain to clubs and didn't even play against in the 90s and early 20s. Yeah, twisted fate, you know. Sometimes we didn't play against Man City because Man City were in the Championship and the League One, weren't they? At the end of the day, you know? And they were relying on a penalty shootout against Gillingham with Nicky Weaver saving a penalty to get back into the Premier League. Do you know what I'm saying? You know the season that Man City were playing in the Championship, right? They had a playoff final against Gillingham, right? And they had a penalty shootout against Gillingham to beat them. Nicky Weaver saving a penalty, right? Man United were winning treble that year. Man United were winning a treble that year whilst Nicky Weaver was bloody saving a penalty in a bloody playoff final, Championship playoff final, I believe. Was it Championship or League? Division 2 at the Division 1 at the time. I can't quite remember. Division 2 at the time. I can't quite remember. But it was anyway. Do you know what I mean? At the end of the day. But yeah, you know what? It is going to be an interesting summer, guys. And one thing I would say is hold on to your hats because it is going to be absolute madness. Look, I thought today would be a quiet day. I thought today would be all right. You know, I mean, there won't be much going on in regards to transfers and stuff like that. Lo and behold, here we are with transfers. Another player that's been linked to Man United, of course. You know what I mean? Absolutely. Must admit, City looked good against Juve. Cherky missed the sitter. I mean, at the end of the day, let me tell you something about Bill, about Juve. Juve are crap, mate. They're crap. I wouldn't read too much on that. Man United were beating 3 or 4, I think, right now. Right now. With Man United, with Bremo and Cunha, I think Man United will beat Juve 3 or 4. I don't think they're that good. But obviously, we know that Man City are going to be challenging next year, Bill. We know that. They're more prepared than us. They've had a better window. They spent nearly 400 million since January. Do you know what I mean? FFP and PSR, of course. Yeah, so at the end of the day, they're going to be more prepared than us, isn't it? You know, we're just about getting Bremo through the door, you know, which is unacceptable when you're looking at it from that perspective. Do you know what I mean? Waiting ages to get Bremo through the doors. It just drives me mad, to be honest, guys. Absolutely. Let me just write this tweet. Someone just writ something to me, and I'm like, what the hell is going on? Guys, absolutely. Someone writ something to me. There we go. Never mind. Will Onana go? I doubt at the moment. Will Onana go? I don't know, mate. I don't know. Twisted Fate. Boom, boom, boom. And Bremo in the room. Boom, boom, boom. And Bremo in the room. And Cunha together. We got this ball together. Oh, my goodness me. Twisted Fate. You did it, didn't you, mate? You know what boom, 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 boom means? Boom, 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 boom. I want you in my room and spend the night together for now until forever. I don't think we should be putting that song in the same context as in Bremo. Please, guys. Please do not put that song in the same context with Bremo. Boom, 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 boom. I want you in my room and spend the night together for now and forever. Goodness me. I can't believe I just sang it as well. When you're alone and you need a friend, someone to forget your problems. I'll be your man tonight. Whoa, whoa. This is what I'm gonna do. Whoa, whoa. Let's have some fun. Oh my goodness, guys, you're getting me into the mood, guys. Absolutely. It's not brilliant. It's not brilliant. Absolutely not. You bloody dodgy lot. Give it to him, Bremo. No, you do boom, boom, boom. Everybody say Bremo. That's more like it, mate. Not bloody boom, boom, boom. I want you in my room. For goodness sake, guys, what's going on? You just met him. He ain't even signed for the club yet, and you want to bring him to the room. For goodness sake. At least take him out for dinner. You know what I mean? Mad. We need pom-poms to go with that tune. You guys, man. You guys are uninformed maniacs. Absolutely, you guys. Absolutely. Madness. Absolute madness. I'm telling you right now. But it's a bit of fun, guys. It is a bit of fun. We don't need no dinner. I suppose so. But then again, Ineos are taking them out for dinner, doing it in all the shots. They're taking it slow. They're taking it slow. They don't want to be hurt again. They're taking it slow. That's what Ineos are doing. They're taking it slow. They don't want to be hurt again. I've been hurt before. I don't want to be hurt again. And blah, blah, blah. And all that malarkey and stuff like that. Absolutely madness, of course. Absolutely. You guys are funny. Dear. What can we do, guys? What can we do? It is the way it is at the end of the day. Yeah. Guys, thank you. I'm going to be leaving a little bit earlier today because I have got a couple of things to do. But yeah, Ineos, what's going on? Nah, Ineos are giving him a barbecue. Ineos are giving him whatever they're giving him. I don't know what they're doing. They were doing a marriage thing. Do you know what I mean? They're doing everything. They're going on an Indian marriage. They're doing the bloody Mendy and everything with Nmecha at the moment, guys. They're actually going a long way, guys. They're doing it a long way, guys. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they are arranging that marriage from long. I mean, what have we come to? What if Radcliffe takes Nmecha to dinner? You know, it'd probably be very cheap. Probably be Cheeky Nando's, Kenny. It probably won't even be Cheeky Nando's. It'd probably be Chicken Spot. It'd probably be Perfect Fried Chicken or, Dixie Chicken. Maybe one of those things. I don't know. Bill, Sal, what do they start building the new state? When do they start? I couldn't care less, Bill. I'll be honest with you guys. As I said earlier on, I wouldn't care if we're playing at Hackney Bloody Marshes as long as we're winning on the football pitch. I think this is a vanity project. I don't like the idea. I think the stadium looks ugly. And you know what? I think Man United should just be concentrating on being a successful football team. And then we can build a stadium organically without having to rely on government funds, of course. That's what I hope. Mark, Bruno played the Nations League, but refused Saudi attempts to push him into the Club World Cup. Now, after his family on holiday and also Ronaldo has re-signed, could he change his mind and go to Saudi? Mark, you know what I would say? You know, I don't think Saudi Arabia are going to want him now. If I'm being honest with you, I don't think that they're going to really be fighting tooth and nail for him now after, what he said and what he done, isn't it? At the end of the day, I don't think so. But you never know what's going to happen, guys. You really don't. It's, but I don't think Bruno's going anywhere, mate. As much as there are people who want Bruno, to go, I don't think he's going to be going anywhere now, my guys. I think he's going to be staying exactly where he is put. Now, Temesem, with your copy and paste tweet, mate. United, I want Gutierrez and Bremo, Emi Martinez, Edison, Deliso, no. Listen, mate, stop this bloody crap or all this bloody copy and paste merchant, robotic like AI mother. I'm not going to say anything, but stop all that nonsense, my friend. Bill, cheers. Regarding the stadium being ugly, the tent looks like a Billy Smart. Bill, you smashed it, mate. Oh, my goodness me. It doesn't look like a nice thing, mate. Get rid of the tent, I say, mate. You know what I mean? Have you seen Valencia's new stadium? Valencia. They've just got all clearance for their new stadium to be playing in their new stadium. 70,000 new stadium. It looks a lot better. You look at that. You know what I mean? Why? I just don't think Man United should be thinking about a stadium right now. As much as everyone thinks we should, I don't think Man United should be really and truly looking for a bloody stadium, Twisted Fate. I just hope we can get Collier pushing to be a player. I think he can. Hopefully, none of this Garnacho attitude. I hope so, mate. And this is one thing I would say, exactly what I've been saying on this channel, is that I don't want any bad influences, bad eggs to come into that dressing room. I don't want that anymore. I don't know how you feel about that, but I don't want that anymore. These bad eggs coming into the dressing room and causing havoc. As I said, the pen is more mightier than the sword. So is words. I think actually words are mightier than the sword as well sometimes. And I think they can cause a lot of damage. The culture, for example, feigning injury, playing when you want, that sort of culture, which Jose Mourinho said many, many years ago about certain players. When they get a little knock, they're out for months, but some players carry on playing. And that still counts for today, of course. Do you know what I mean? Ephraim, big up, Sal. We will be back to conquer the world. Come on, Ephraim. Big up. Freedom needs to lower his wage demands if he really wants freedom. Freedom. He makes me laugh, honestly, talking about freedom, isn't it? Mr. Sancho, my goodness me, he doesn't know how lucky he has it. He knows nothing about freedom, at the end of the day. Absolute misinformed clown. That's what he is at the end of the day. You know what I mean? He just needs to concentrate on playing football. That's it, and keep his mouth shut because he's not the brightest of fellas. I don't mind players with keen type of attitude, 100%, no childishness. I agree, Teresa Fate, but there's no players like that these days. When I mention players like Wharton, this is the type of player that is closest you're going to get to Roy Keane sort of thing. And I'm not comparing him to Roy Keane because Roy Keane is on a different hemisphere. But these type of players, they don't really exist anymore, unfortunately, guys. They don't exist in football anymore. They're not around anymore, and sadly as it is, they're just not around anymore. And as much as I wish they were, that I don't think they're gonna, they're not gonna be around forever anymore, because these players that came from the street footballer. The street footballer is dying, in my opinion. The player that used to play in the parks, when we were young, we used to go to the parks and play football. There's no substitute for that type of, scouting and that type of player who came from the grassroots, actual grassroots. Do you know what I mean? Concrete. The players like Zidane and players like that who came from the concrete. You know what I mean? But basically playing on AstroTurf and concrete little, jumpers for goalposts and things like that, or cricket sticks for goalposts, whatever you want. That's what we used to do. Now, I don't think this will ever exist anymore. I think due to the influx of social media and games, it used to be just games, now it's social media as well. And everyone's on social media and people are always on their iPhones. No one's really thinking about all those hours that you're on your iPhone. You imagine how much football hours being taken out of the youth just from iPhones and things like that, or Samsungs, whatever. Just think about how much football time and football talent has been taken out of football because of social media and click generation. You know what I mean? Click swipe generation. That's what it is at the end of the day. Quick fame. You know what I mean? Make a few TikTok videos, get famous. That's what it is. There's no work ethic. There's no grounding. There's no, from the grassroots coming up from zero to being a hero. You know what I mean? Nowadays, people don't start at 0. They start at 50. And then they go up to 100 easily, and that's the problem, and that's when you get, this is why I'm very skeptical. And I think Cristiano Ronaldo said this the other day, quite rightly. Someone asked him about his son. His son's very talented, right? Cristiano Ronaldo Jr., right? CR7 Jr. His son is very talented. And the guy who interviewing him said, what about the hunger? What about the hunger? And Cristiano Ronaldo admitted, that's going to be the problem. That's going to be a problem, keeping that hunger. Because Cristiano Ronaldo had to sweep streets, and still had the passion for football. These guys don't have to worry about anything. Everything's already on a plate. Play football. What does that do to the footballer, the current footballer? What does that do? It takes the edge away from them, doesn't it? It takes the edge away from that footballer. Do you know what I mean? What is my memory of school? Loads of... I went to a tough school, Ephraim, very tough school in East London. So it was a very tough school, very relentless school. It was a boys' school. Same school as Jonathan Ross, if you know who you know. Norlington School. And it was tough. It was tough. There was no time to be weak. It was, all I can remember about school is laughing, going to see England games. My school used to arrange England games and things like that back in the day. And we used to go and see England games. And I remember playing football after school. I remember looking forward to football in the weekend. I remember, TV was great. No social media, no YouTube. It was just a good vibe. You know what I mean? And I'm not being like nostalgic or anything like that. I just feel like it's so disappointing that these days, technology is a great thing. We know that technology is a great thing, but it also has given a lot of problems as well, in regards to the work ethic of people. People, like, for example, before social media existed, I was selling CDs in the street with my brother, selling music CDs and stuff, because I was in the music industry for 20 years and I was doing that before all this social media stuff started, which made it easy, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? A lot of these people wouldn't exist, these TikTok generations, these TikTok Man United fans who go on TikTok and make stupid videos behind a green screen and making silly things and saying silly things, you know what I mean? And this is the thing now, and pretending they're Man United fans because it gets clout, you know what I mean, at the end of the day, pretending they love Man United and being patronizingly positive about it. Me, I actually love the football club, and I've loved the football club ever since I was at school, ever since there was no social media. You know what I mean? And back then you had to read books. You had to watch videotapes to watch Man United. There was no YouTube, no manipulation. There was no player compilations. You know what I mean? There was none of that. Oh, you know what? He's going to be cooking. None of that. Straight facts, videotape, here's the history. That's it. You know what I mean? None of that. Terry Cook, none of that. Tomlinson, none of that. You know what I mean? Phil Moraine, none of that. Didn't play, weren't good enough. He's cooking. Look at this YouTube compilation, what he did and stuff like that. It's just, at the end of the day, look, you know what? I miss it. It's terrible. But big up. Thank you for the question. I played that much football. I lost my toenails. I didn't care. Football was everything. Head is solid. Absolutely, mate. You play with blisters. You play with things. Small boots, trainers. You remember those footballers, those footballs that had those edges of ripped off and stuff like that? You remember them days? Absolutely. Bill, plus we had the heavier balls, but proper ones, yeah. And they had cuts on them. And if that one hit you in the face, boy, it hurt. It hurt. So I used to play Sunday League. Yeah, I used to play in Hackney Marshes. I played with the likes of loads of great players. I'm not going to name drop, but I played with some great players, guys. Absolutely. You know, and I think this needs to be implemented back at schools and stuff. But unfortunately, because of the social media generation, it's very difficult to raise people. And this is why it's a fact. It's a straight fact that football has regressed in regards to talent. Talent has regressed enormously. People who think talent hasn't regressed and they're more athletic, it's a liar. It's a lie. Man United used to play with bloody 13 players, a whole squad. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, how many substitutes did they have in a treble-winning season? You had Peter Schmeichel limping in games and things like that. Do you know what I mean? Players playing with injury and things. You wouldn't dare have a player like Sancho. No club. You wouldn't dare have a player like that. Absolutely not. Mark, the Warner Brothers, you should think of copyrighting that one. It's a catchy. Yeah, unfortunately, it's already been taken, Mark. Absolutely, mate. Yeah, it's already been taken. Yeah. Yeah. Warner's my mother's name, by the way. It's my mother's name. My mother's name is Warner. Yeah, my mother's name. I use my mother's name because my dad's name, you know, is not really a name. But Sal, what is the problem with this time film comedies are boring? 90s is amazing. I tell you why, Ephraim. I tell you why films are so boring these days, because they become too sensitive and comedy has become too sensitive. Back in the day, we weren't too cautious about what we used to say, and it was good because at the end of the day, yeah, no, people weren't offended. Everyone was offended. You know, back now these days, everyone's offended these days by everything, every little thing. Comedy's subjective, and so is other things as well. And what it is, we took risks back then. You know, and when I think about the programs that I used to watch back in the 90s with Red Dwarf and Bottom and things like that, of those young ones and things, and I think about, you know, if they would be allowed today, and I think no, even Friends wouldn't be allowed today, to be honest with you. Lots of people moan about that. Look, at the end of the day, I was born in the 80s. I'm a millennial, but, you know, but it's actually the Gen X, isn't it? The Gen Z, which are the problem, which is they turn it into like everything is offensive. We are just human beings at the end of the day. And I think that people are taking life too seriously. I really do think that. And I think that, you know, once we get out of this bubble of sensitivity, we'll be all right. But I don't think we're going to get that. And this has been passed down to football as well, unfortunately. You know, Cantona kicking a fan in Crystal Palace. I'm not advocating violence. I'm not saying that. But he stood up for what he believed in. He stood up for who he is. You know, would you get that now? They wouldn't even be able to jump that high, let alone that. They probably go, oh, my leg. They probably go, oh, my leg, I hurt my leg. That's what they probably do. The talent has gone. They want robots now. Absolutely. They like robots, definitely. Good day, Yale. How you doing? I hope you guys are very well. I got a raise at work, so I'll go over the moon. Congratulations, Charlie. You deserve it, mate. Hope you're doing well, my friend. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you do enjoy it, my friend. We should get something from the sinking ships of Leon and something like that, my friend. Yeah, we could do. Guys, I want to thank everyone for joining me today. Thank you. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're new, and please don't forget to smash a like on the video, you guys. You're absolute legends. Keep your notifications on as well in case I go live, guys. Absolutely. I will go live, of course, if anything breaks. But I'll be back tomorrow morning. If nothing breaks, I'll be back tomorrow for Breaking Dawn. So don't forget to join me for that, guys. Thank you, everyone, for being here and supporting the channel. You're absolute legends. I'm Sal Warner. This is Chatterbox. I shall see you through the window. Take it easy, guys. Peace.